All right. So I'm actually now going to begin some of other transformations with text. Now, in that list of words, down the bottom, I've actually got a list of the transformations that we're going to do. What I'm now going to do is what's called a track mat, a mask. I'm going to have the text appear within a mask, okay? I'll be doing some editable text ones a bit later, and we'll end up by doing some, putting some effects on it. If we've got time, we might get into 3D. We'll see how we go. Okay? So, track mat. Now, what I'm going to do is I want a new word. So let's come back here. Yeah, let's go liberate. So I'll come into here. Let's just duplicate that. So I've got a new word. Note that if I duplicate a layer of text, all of the keyframes come within it, okay? Which I don't actually want, okay? So if that's the case, what I would recommend, so I'll just hide this, okay? If I get rid of these keyframes, which I can just delete, well, I've actually deleted it while it's 0% opacity, while it's small, all this, I've just created more work for myself. What I would recommend is just come to a point where it is in its end position and now just delete them. Okay? Just save your work. Okay, so let's just make this another color. So what I'm going to do here, let's just get a levy out of the way. So hit the U key, go forward a second. Oh, I actually want it all to fade out from this point. Okay, so I only need to worry about the opacity. Fade it out. Okay, just note, if you're working quickly, it's sometimes quite common to have the opacity stuck at like 2% or 1% because you haven't checked. So just make sure it is 0. Okay, and let's just get liberate. We'll just have this here. Now, option left bracket. So I'll just move that there. Okay. I'm going to create a mask. Okay. Now, just note that there's a few different ways of doing this, and depending upon who's showing you, they'll show you a different way. I'm going to show you a way that I just find a little bit more intuitive and logical for myself. But note, if I have this layer highlighted and I come into my shape and I click and drag, I'm actually creating a mask. Okay, so that shape is a mask in this liber layer. Okay, I can animate with this anyway, where you see those you can do. I find it a little bit convoluted, and if I want to duplicate things, it just gets a bit, I'll just say awkward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a shape layer that I'm going to make into, I'll just trim that there. No, option left bracket. I don't want it as a stroke, because a stroke will be a mask if you have it there. The actual stroke itself will be the mask. I want to fill. It can work in times, all right? So what I'll do is I'm just going to create a shape that is going to be the mask. Okay, so just note that it's there. I might just change this layer, and I can rename layers. Again, we don't double click to rename like we do in Photoshop or Illustrator or anything. I could right click and go to rename, or I could just tap the return or enter key if you've got a PC, and I'll call this the Liber mask. Okay. Not the most essential thing, but just in your organization, if you've got a whole lot of layers, sometimes it's good to know which one is which rather than shape layer 1, shape layer 13, shape layer 21, that sort of thing. Know what we've got. All right. So what we have, and so just know I'm just going to do this mask and then I'm just going to let you do it. So I'll finish up at this point, but just watch this bit here. To actually, I've just dragged this up so you can see. In the bottom left of the timeline, I actually have some different timeline settings. This is purely to save what we call the screen real estate, the space in the timeline. I want to have as much space in the timeline rather than elements in here that I don't necessarily need to see. So in the first band, which you should see, there's a few things, boxes here. When we get into 3D, we can actually make this into a 3D layer by clicking this little cube. We can actually do motion blur by clicking it, and that's an interesting thing to do. We'll talk about that down the track. There's a whole lot of blend modes and things we can create, blah, blah, blah. Okay? We don't necessarily need it. Parenting we'll get to down the track, what parenting means. Actually, we'll just do a quick parent. All right, so with this, let's just see what we've got. This one. Okay, so just note, I'm just going to parent one to the other, just as an example. It's not important, but it's just interesting to know while we've brought it up. So in this, I've only got position and scale that are actually keyframed. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to parent the blue square to the magenta square. Okay. So this means now if I come into this magenta square and I do something, so let's just say I'm just going to rotate. Whatever this is doing, this one will also do. Okay. Silly me, create some keyframes. So let's see where we can see both of them. Here we go. Here and here. Let's just say I'll rotate it 180 degrees. Okay, note that both of them are actually doing the same thing because it's parented. Okay? So what it means is I can create a whole complex range of things. I could make a star fading in and just getting a little bigger and have that as an animation, and then just create heaps of other stars and then move them to different positions, parent them, and they will all do the same thing. Fade in out. So you can minimize the amount of animation you're doing by parenting. Okay, because to do it to one and everything that is parented to it will do the same thing. Okay, and that can apply to a range of things. I could have it move as well, but just note that that's there. Okay, so getting a bit off track, but anyway. So this is this first band. Okay, I don't need to see that. So I'll hide that. And I'm going to bring up the second band. And this is this thing called track matte. This is where masking happens. Now, I won't animate it at the moment, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to track matte or mask the text to the mask. And you can see here that it's actually showing me the name of the layer that I'm going to mask to. So if it was shape layer 1, that's what we would see. Okay. So that is now masked. You'll note by doing that, the shape, it's there, but it's hidden, but it's there. It's the essence of that shape. And so now, if I animate or move the position of the text, okay, it's moving within the mask. That you will use a lot, okay? It means we don't have to have things coming from off screen if we want them to appear. We can have them come from within this. So let's do this. So where did that Liber 912, let's say here, maybe we'll make it 1 second. There's its position. Again, working backwards. Okay. Whoop. Save that. Worried it'll crash it. All right. All good. Let's move this back down. So we've got the text moving within the mask. Okay. So let's have that there for a second. Add. And then what I'll do is I'll have it disappear. Okay. All right. So that's the text animating within the mask. Now what I'll do is I'm going to, let's just create a new word. Command D, move this up. What am I going to do? Moderate. Okay. Okay. So I've done that. And note, it's actually still parented to the mask. Okay, so the mask in the layer order doesn't really matter. it's here. So I'll just turn that off, no matte. I've got my Libber mask. So I might just duplicate that. And this will be the Modder mask. So just tap return. I don't have to name them, but makes it a bit easier in organization. And let's just get rid of all of the animation of the duplicate. Again, just have it so that it's in its end position before we start deleting things. Let's just come over here. Let's just shorten those. Oops. And let's have this here. So we now need to make this bigger. So with scale's the easiest way of doing it. Oh, can't do it that way. So maybe what I might do is move my anchor point. And just get my scale. There we go. Let's have that there. And so now we'll mask this to the Modder mask. There we go. And so what I can do here is I can also animate the mask. Okay. So let's just do a positional one here. So we've got our end position here. Come forward. Half a second. All right. So now what I have is I've animated text within the mask, and now I've animated the mask revealing the text. So I might just leave that there for you to do some experiments. But what I wanted to do for the first part of today is just to revisit what we've done, to look at generating text, being able to edit the text. So once I've created one, I've been able to duplicate it and then edit it. Very easy. Moving keyframes around and ending up by doing a track map. Okay, and so those are the good starting point, and you will use what we've done a lot. Okay, they are the sort of the building blocks for how we create these.